Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. We have a great program for you today, folks. In the house with us today is the one and only county clerk of Harris County, Teneshia Hudspeth. Before I even ask her to say anything, I have a few words that I want to say. We constantly hear about the government not doing what the government is supposed to do, and government is not good, and all these issues. One of the things I like to stress is if you want good government, you have to have good people in government. If you want good government, you have to have people who believe that government can be good. That is a must. And after going to a couple of programs and listening to what the county clerk does, I went and I saw Teneshia Hudspeth, and I could not have left more impressed with somebody who wanted government to work. That's a mistake. Somebody who has made your local government work. Teneshia Hudspeth, welcome to Politics Done Right at KPFT. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Good morning or afternoon. I guess it's afternoon, Egberto. It is an absolute pleasure and honor. When I first met you, a previous clerk was serving and I was the chief deputy, and I didn't know I'd be sitting in this chair, but I am. And what a pleasure it is to come talk to you about back to basics, right? Government and how we're making it work for the people of Harris County.
Absolutely. So, it's amazing because I first heard about you from Diane Trotman, who was your predecessor. And in speaking, she came out of Kingwood, and speaking to her, she said that person that's going to take over, she's going to take this office places. She's going to serve the community like you guys have never seen the community served before. And, living in areas where we don't see good government, it's hard to, or rather, where people don't believe that good government exists, it's hard to see it. So I tell you what, let's begin by telling Harris County, what's the purpose of having a county clerk?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. We're sitting in the historical 3rd Ward, and I'm a proud graduate of Texas Southern University, so it brings me great solace to be sitting in this home right here in this community. There is county clerks in every single county in all 254 counties in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, Harris County is the largest county in the state of Texas, and county clerks are all over the place doing great work. From the time you're born to the time that you're making major decisions in your life, you come to the county clerk's office. Let me tell you what that means. What that means is when you start your business, you file and record your DBA. You're doing business as with the county clerk's office. When you decide to get married, guess what? We make a lot of love connections in Harris County because you actually get your marriage license through the county clerk's office. And sometimes we coordinate with the county judges to waive that fee for you to get your marriage license and then go get married in a courtroom almost immediately. We handle all vital records, birth records. So if you had children recently or you've lived in the state of Texas, we disseminate birth records to everybody, even death records, because at some point we all have to take that road, right? Mm-hmm. We also handle real property records. So if you own property here in Harris County, we have your deed or copy of your deed, plats, and maps. We service and support the 4 civil court, the 4 probate courts, and Commissioner's Court. I know I said a earful, but let me tell you one of the most favorite parts of this, and you can call me a nerd all you want, right? Nah. As we withhold all the historical records in Harris County and the clerk's office. These records go back to the early 1800s. Wow. And one of the things I've been doing is finding out how we get the history of Harris County out with many entities. I'm sure KPFT is somewhere in that record, right?
Absolutely.
And so again, we do so every type of important document in Harris County. We are filing, recording it, and making it easier. If you are a veteran and you have your DD 214, you can file and record that with our office. And we're launching a Think a Veteran program that I'll be able to share with our county. We're asking small businesses to sign up and service your veterans by giving them a discount or something of that nature. Now, here's one that always gets people is we record animal brands. Really? Most folks have no clue. And guess what? If you live in Texas or if you're just driving up 288, what do we see? Fields of cattle all over this county. And so surprisingly enough, sometime we get livestock that gets out and they need to come track that brand to see who owns it. And so I say, call me a nerd because I've worked in the office for 17 years. The only thing we don't do anymore that we did for many years was run elections and conducting for Harris County. That's changed slightly. But one thing that doesn't change is marriages, births, deaths, businesses, and all these other ways that we service the county.
Well, I'm gonna shock you here for something that I know that you probably didn't think that I know, and this is one of the issues we talk about having good government is knowing where your people are and knowing the needs of your people. And you did something that I think other counties would want to mimic, probably sooner than later, and that is opening your office on the weekends for people who you know work 24/7 during the week. And you said, well, you know, how can we service these people without them having to take off from their jobs, lose wages, etc.? How can we help that? Tell us a little bit about that.
How do we help that? You know, one of the things that we all know is COVID's changed our world forever. One piece of that is how do people get these records done without just coming into our office? So one of the first things we did was make sure that we could put the process in place where you can order that birth record online and have it on your doorsteps in 1 or 2 days. But a year ago, my son was starting kindergarten and I took for granted, hey, I can just go to the 3rd floor, get this birth record and get him registered for school. And it dawned on me, what about all the parents that are working maybe 1 or 2 jobs or are shift workers and can't get to our offices Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30? What if we open our doors on a Saturday for working class families? So my staff kind of looked at me and said, no, we've never done that, but let's give it a try. And what we learned, we did it at 2 of our office locations, our downtown and one of our community annexes off of the Chimney Rock. And hundreds of working class families showed up to get those birth records for their children. And I said, oh, looks like we have an annual program. Let's do this again. So we did it again. We did a couple of more community annex locations, and we had people standing in line 2 hours before the doors opened to get that. I would say making county government work for you was what we call our back to school birth certificate Saturdays. So now this is an annual program every year prior to the school year where we'll open up our annexes in some of our offices and just get documents to people that they need them. And this year we were nationally, international recognized for just a back to basics program, right? So county clerks in other counties, where you at? Start your back to school birth certificates.
County Clerk Teneshia Hudspeth. Let me tell you, first of all, folks, you can start calling us at your convenience to start giving us donations. 713-526-5738. As you see, we bring the necessary information to you, likely things that you hadn't known about. And Teneshia is going to tell us a little bit more as we continue with this conversation. 713-526-5738. Hit that number 1 to give us a contribution. Hit the number 2 if you want to get on air. But again, folks, it's very important to keep us alive so we can bring folks who support good government like Teneshia Hudspeth here, who's our current county clerk. 713-526-5738. Teneshia, one of the things that I like to, that I really speak about, that really gives me angst is we have a sect in this country, and not only the country, but here in the city, in the county, etc., that continuously demeans government, not understanding that government is we the people.
That's right.
And if we are responsible for those we elect. If I see somebody that seems to be interested in making lives better, and I loved I believe of all the things that I read, when I heard that story about Saturday, that touched the heart because, again, it is a county official not saying, I am sticking with 8 to 4:30. You know, in other words, it's not top down. It's how do we help the people? Where did you get the impetus to do that kind of a stuff?
Yeah, so I have to tell you, my mother was a single parent raising me, and she was one of those people that worked 2 jobs and would have been very difficult for her to get those services on a weekday. And so a little bit of that, I've served in community way before I was ever in elected office, and I knew what community needed, right? And then when you think about COVID and all of the many obstacles that our community has gone through over the couple of years, you're constantly thinking, how do we evolve? And look, one thing I know about county government, we've all been in a situation where we've been transferred 5 times and we've been on hold for 20 minutes, right? Not a good practice. We've always been to a building or a courthouse where you're intimidated because it's so overwhelming and you don't know how to talk to, and you may have not come across the most friendly person in county government. So I knew innately before becoming elected that we had to kind of turn the tables and pivot the tables on how our community experienced county people and county government. So one of the things we first did was customer service training for all of our people. When you come in, you get a smile and you have someone there in our hallways off of the elevator directing you. Hey, are you in the right place? Can I help you? How can I get that done? We monitor our wait times on the phone and in the building so that you're not standing there, especially if you're trying to get something done during your lunch break, right?
Exactly.
And you're in a crunch. We're monitoring online services, our phone services, because we don't want to talk to angry customers. We want to talk to customers who are saying, man, that was efficient and the people were smiling. And so changing the frame of how our constituents experience county government starts with me. Right. It starts with the person that's asking for your vote and saying, these are the things that I'm going to do. And then you hold me accountable to that. That's how it should be across the board in Harris County. And so we just kind of got started pretty quickly on let's change the tides and the turn of how customer service is relatable, how we service everybody in an equitable way, and no one feels alienated when they come to county government, especially the Harris County Clerk's office.
There's some empathy that's necessary when you are serving the people. And there's something that you just said in that narrative you provided right there. When you said, I came from a single mother who likely would not have been able to come to where you are running right now and enter the county clerk's office. And it tells me, last night I watched much of the Pennsylvania debate, and watching Dr. Oz, as smooth as he could, answer a rustic guy who has actually, he came from there. He decided to live a rustic type life, but he had empathy he has empathy for the people that, the 80% of Americans that are living checkbook to mouth. You know that innately.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
You know that innately. It is so important that I'm not saying that you have to have come from poverty or single motherhood or any of these issues to make
but experience matters.
But experience matter and empathy.
And empathy,
because
absolutely.
You have to be able to see through the eyes of those that are not necessarily that way. And I tell you, like I said, in listening to you, I sat down, I listened to one of the speeches you gave online, and I kept on like, wow. We need to create the template of good government and show what government looks like.
That's right. And here are the untold stories of county government. I talked about marriage licenses, and most people think, oh, that's incredible, and marriage is such a happy time. But the truth is the matter, sometimes we are coming to make final wishes for someone. We get a call from a terminally ill constituent, and their final wishes is to marry someone. It's our clerks that show up to that hospice or show up to that home to execute that. So you have to have empathy to do that type of work, right? And truth of the matter, during COVID, everyone wasn't getting married because they were excited. They needed insurance.
Right.
And so these are the applicable day-to-day issues that our constituents, that our nation deals with.
But you saw that. You saw that you had to expedite these marriages because they didn't have insurance.
That's right.
Now think about somebody that has always worked for corporate America, has the best insurance in the planet. You don't care about whether it takes 2 weeks as opposed to 2 months to get your stuff done.
Oh, yeah. And I'm talking about constituents, but I have about 270 people that work in the Harris County Clerk's office. We have a downtown office, and then we have 10 annexes around this county. Their lives and the work they do are important to me. I always say, you're a reflection of me. I'm a reflection of you.
Right.
So we have to put safety measures in place. When it was COVID, we had to put plexiglass in our public counters to protect our employees and the people that they serve. And the better you protect them and you take care of the inside, then they're really going to do a good job of taking care of the outside. So it works twofold.
Well, look, let me tell you, Teneshia, even though we're in Fund Drive, after speaking and seeing that video online, I said I wanted to get you in here because it's important for our audience, as we are in Fund Drive, to actually see the kind of work that we do. And we are honored to have somebody of your stature in here, somebody who believes in government, somebody who knows that government is there to serve.
For everybody. For everybody. And I just ploy, I'm sure the program is talking about this. Right now, we're right in the middle of early voting. Today is day 3 of early voting. It ends November 4th. So don't wait. If you want to wait till election day, sure, November 8th, knock it out. But you can early vote between now and November 4th. The ballot is long, so we want citizens to be prepared. You can get your sample ballot and find what location is closest to you. And just be prepared to vote. Make your voice be heard. serve, right? You can't complain if you don't do your part.
You have to do your part. Teneshia Hudspeth, County Clerk of Harris County.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what county government looks like in the clerk's office.
Well, actually, you just shared a tiny bit. You'll be back because,
Yes.
we need to make sure that our Harris County constituents really understand that this county serves.
That's right.
And how it serves.
And how it serves. Your largest county, we set the best practices for the way the state of Texas should be serving. And I'm confident. I talk to my county clerks all over the state of Texas. We are all here to do good work and service the people. I say it's recording all the major events of your life, but now we're making an office that works for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so kindly, Teneshia Hudspeth. It's been a pleasure having you at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. 713-526-5738, folks. 713-526-5738. Folks, as you can see, this is the sort of stuff that we do here at this radio station. We make sure that you stay informed. We make sure that the powers in Harris County, the powers around and actually it's not only Harris County, we brought you several folks nationally and internationally on this show. So please remember to give us a call at 713-526-5738. Is our pitch meister in there, El Senor Dwayne Bradley? Is he in the office or is he left or where is he? Hey, Dwayne, we are waiting for you, my friend. And in the studio today as our engineer, it's the one and only Stuart, and answering the phones, we have the one and only Marlo. So thank you guys. Marlo, how are you doing? Can you talk? Are you taking a call or what? If you're taking a call, let's go ahead and go to Stuart. Stuart, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Alberto. Doing great. Thank you.
Look, man, I tell you what, we are going to have a great rest of this session here. We are going to make sure that folks call in 713-526-5738. Folks, we need your call like now to contribute to our wonderful station, 713-526-5738. We cannot do this without you. We cannot bring you the Teneshia Hudspeth. We cannot bring you all those other politicians and activists and others without your voice. Without your voice. And your voice to help here is to say, we are going to contribute to KPFT 90.1 FM. I have I've got to raise $1,000. And right now I'm currently at what is it called? The zero. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738, or you can go ahead and go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Look, I'm going to do a little bit more of my show until Dwayne gets in here to ask some more. But I'm asking you to go right now for my show, for KPFT's Politics Done Right. Go to kpft.org. Provide us with whatever contribution you can, because we cannot do this good work without you. We cannot do this good work without you. Last night, I'm doing 3 to 5 blogs every day, trying to make sure that we keep people informed. That's our job. That's the job of an activist. That's the job of a host who wants to make a difference. And let me tell you, I watched the outtakes from the debate in Pennsylvania. And let me just tell you, it matters. Even the Pennsylvania race matters to us all. And the interesting thing about the Pennsylvania race is, while you may think I'm just thinking about Dr. Oz and Fetterman, it's deeper. But before I go into that story, stick around, folks, and also call 713-526-5738. I want to bring, whoops, that was different. I want to bring in Brother Dwayne Bradley, former manager of KPFT, and the guy who actually got me at the first mic at this place. Brother.
Wow, that's a long time ago, Egberto.
I know it's a long time, but you know what? My remembrance is long. My memory is long. I forgot the word memory.
It was, that was a couple cups of coffee ago.
Yes, man. Anyway, bring us home, Dwayne. Bring us home.
Well, we're getting into the home stretch here. The fund drive to keep KPFT moving through the rest of this year and on into 23 is dependent on you out there listening right now, making a contribution so that we can power the tower and keep the lights on here at the Mighty 90 World Headquarters on Caroline Street, where we just moved in. I mean, I feel like we're still Well, we are still unpacking boxes and cleaning things up and getting things situated. So we are, as we're saying, flying the airplane while still building it. and getting better and better every single day. And everybody who donates $1 is contributing to that success story. And KPFT is going to be turning 53 in a couple months. And we'd love to hear from you and love to get your feedback on what you like about it, what you'd like to suggest we do to improve it. We'd love to invite you down to visit this when we have a little like housewarming, studio warming. I'm thinking maybe in the spring of next year, we'll be able to do that sometime around the time of our 53rd birthday on March 1st. But right now, I'm asking you to call this phone number, 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT, JAM KPFT, 713-JAM KPFT. Option 1 takes you into the Pledge Center, and the folks can escort you through the transformation process from listener to listener member to a sponsor of this radio station. Every little bit helps. Don't think that this is all those big $150, $250, $365, $500,000 gifts. We love those. We need those. We appreciate those. Just as much, we appreciate that $10 one-time gift, that $25 membership, that $5 a month that you're willing to squeeze out of your budget so that this radio station can continue to thrive. Bring programs like Egberto Willies, Politics Done Right, onto the airwaves. We're really proud to have him here. He brings some intellect and analysis to the situations at hand. You just heard a great conversation with
County Clerk.
Yeah, our very own county clerk right here in Harris County. She came on down. She works up the block, about 40 blocks up. But on Caroline Street, she's right down there. And, she's really happy to come into the People's radio station and share some real pertinent and important information. So help us do the worthy work that happens through KPFT. People with a passion come in and use the People's airwaves and share what they can, whether it's music, news, information, culture, art, politics, philosophy. It's all part of what we weave together every week on KPFT. When people come into the People's radio station, it's not being dictated by any corporate strategy. It's not being dictated by, sales analysis. It's not being dictated by anything but you and me coming together and saying, this is our radio station, this is what we want to do with it, and this is how we're going to do it. And then we do it. It's pretty magical. You're part of that magic when you make the call that makes it all possible. So please do so now. 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT. And if you're listening far away in Beaverton, Oregon, or whatever, like Jeanette is or was when I was driving down here last hour, maybe you're listening through the World Wide Web. So kpft.org has a donate button in the top right corner. Just tap the donate button. A big scroll will open up, and you can scroll it down and pick any program you want to donate it to. Politics Done Right. And if you get...
Call out your program too, my brother.
If you get down the alphabet, and you may notice a program called Open Journal, it comes up, O is before P, I think, alphabetically.
Hey.
So, if you land there and you donate there, that's fine too. Open Journal's on Monday evening from 6 to 7. And I'm part of the team that produces it. I've been hosting that for a few years now. And we're really happy to have that privilege, to have the honor of getting to use the People's airwaves in that way, as Egberto has. Started out as an Open Journal test flight show many years ago, became a freestanding program of its own, and then now it's on multiple times a week. You never know what'll happen. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. I never thought I'd get a radio show on KPFT, but I was hanging around the radio station just doing volunteer work. We need somebody to run to the post office with these program guides. Oh, okay, well, I'll do that. Oh, we need to do some paste up on this work, and somebody needs to sweep the floor. Oh, okay. And suddenly there's an opening on, midnight, Monday night till 2:30. We need somebody to do a show. It's like, well, I got a record collection. I could bring some albums down and Yeah, let's do it. And, the
713.
rest is history.
713.
Be part of that history. 713-526-5738.
Dwayne, I remember when I started with I think Wing, and it was like at 10 at night, and driving from Kingwood to get there at 10 at night and getting back home at midnight. Those were the days. I mean, all of us here paid our dues, and we are asking all of you that are listening right now to actually join the fold. Hey, you may be here too. 713-526-5738 or go to kpft.org. Who's going to be the first? Let's go ahead and get that started right now. We cannot do this without you. We cannot do it without you. What are some of the gifts that we have for folks who join up right now? I know Dwayne knows it magically, don't he?
I have a lot of those tattooed inside my brain, but we have literally a catalog of gifts, including limited numbers of tickets to upcoming events, concerts that are happening as soon as this weekend. If you wanted to maybe go to the Last Concert Cafe and catch Carol in Wonderland, which would be a blast, guaranteed blast. But there are a number of shows all the way up through the new year, including New Year's Eve, where you could go see Asleep at the Wheel and have dinner up at the Do-Si-Do in the Woodlands, or you could go and just stay in town and maybe do it at the Last Concert Cafe with the Suffers. But there are bunches of tickets that we could offer you as a thank you gift. There's essentially an entire store of KPFT merchandise that includes everything from a keychain at the $25 gift level up to a hoodie, and at the couple $100 level, packages of new T-shirts featuring line drawings of the KPFT building on Lovett Boulevard or the new building that is right here on Caroline Street. And those are $100 for either one of those drawn T-shirts, which are really great. But you could get them both together as a special 180 deal. Or you could combine it into a little kit. I mean, there's mugs, there's caps, there's T-shirts, there's tote bags, there's hoodies. I don't think they've got the new KPFT jammies yet. I think we're working on some Christmas stockings, all kinds of KPFT gear. But the most important thing, more important than any gift, but if you want some of this merchandise, we're happy to give you a bag full of it if you want. Just work through with the person on the phone line at 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT. Make your gift, say, hey, what do I qualify for? Or if you have something in mind, say, hey, I wanted a mug. How much is that? I think it's like $75. But whatever it is, they'll walk you through the whole prize catalog. You can raid the closet, take a bag of stuff, and feel really good about it. But the best gift we could ever give, and I promise you this is true because I've verified it in my own heart, in my own life. I've verified it with thousands of people after this many decades of asking this same question and making this same proposition. The best gift you ever got from KPFT, better than any T-shirt or anything else, was the gift of having KPFT. The first time you actually heard the radio station and it connected to you and said, oh, wow, that's my radio station. I need to do something about it. So when you realized that and you made that contribution for the first time, it became part of you. It became your radio station in a very tangible way. And the feedback loop that gives you every time you switch on 90.1, it's not like anything else in broadcasting, not TV, not radio, nothing will make you feel the way you will feel knowing that you have contributed, whatever that is, $5, $500, whatever you've contributed. Just knowing that you did your fair share, you're going to feel so good about that relationship you have with the Mighty 90 because you're part of the family. You know you're doing your fair share. You know you've done what you could to help allow all of us to share this because none of us could own and operate our own full-powered FM radio station.
100,000 watts.
100,000 stereophonic FM analog watts and digital signal and worldwide presence and repeater signals in Galveston and Huntsville and different frequencies, but doing the same programming with an HD2 component, essentially a station inside the station, all that. I mean, it's a multi-million dollar operation, right? And just the signal, just the license alone is worth well more than $10 million just for the piece of paper from the government. We all have that together.
It's ours.
I've worked for over a half a century, I have worked various jobs, starting as a dishwasher at a Chinese restaurant when I was in high school, up to my last big job as general manager of KPFT, up until 5 years ago. And now I work very part-time as an adjunct professor at University of St. Thomas. But in all those years, when I look at my statement from the Social Security Administration, the grand total of every dollar I've earned in my whole life doesn't even get close to the $1 million ballpark, let alone the tens of $1 million it would take for me to have that much spare change.
Give them the number.
713-526-5738.
Hold your horses 1 quick second, but don't move, please. My daughter wanted to say a couple of words. I thought you were going to say something. She said,
did she just get shy?
No, she didn't get shy, really. She comes in with me every day, or not every day, sometimes. And I thought she wanted to make a pitch and say, this is why you need to support Politics Done Right, my dad's show.
Yeah. Why do you support your dad's show? Why do you come down here instead of, like having fun on your own computer or reading a book or doing something else?
Because it's a community that I want to be a part of. It's kind of like you physically I want to be a part of. You can be a part of it, of course, over online and through your radio and what have you. But being physically in the presence of people who are serving their communities in the way that they know best, that gives you this sort of ethereal, warm feeling that you want to feed off of and can use it to continue throughout your week. And that's why I come. It is, yes, I come to support my dad, of course. However, everyone else too. Like, we're all here. I'm sorry, not we. They're all here.
No, you're right. You're here.
See, we're all here and they're just working for like a good cause for the sake of humanity. Like, why wouldn't I want to be a part of that or even be around it?
And we're all volunteers. You're volunteering right now.
Yes,
your
sir.
dad volunteers several times a week. Stuart's here as the world's oldest intern, volunteering right here, right now. Marlo's volunteering. She's volunteering to do the phones for you and also things upstairs with all the programming at KPFT. Sandy, the general manager, he's on He's on like a mission from God at this point.
Yes, he is.
Because he's doing this for free, which is
we got to find out if this guy's taking something, because I don't know where the hell he gets the energy to be out here as much as he is.
He might be on something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's high on the real thing.
High on KPFT, 713-526. Hey, folks, we really need you to call in now. Please give us a call and hit that number 1 or go to kpft.org. We can't do this without you, and we provide you a necessary service. There is no other station in this entire community, likely in this country, there's not a lot of stations that give you what we give you. Notice we had Teneshia Hudspeth, our county clerk, explaining how county government works. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Pittsburgh and what that election really means to the entire country, including right here in Harris County. But before we do that, we need to hear from you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Dwayne,
option one, when you dial that number, option 2 would put you actually on the air, which is great because Egberto loves conversations with you. But we want you to do that option 1 first, make a donation, and then maybe do the option 2 and see about getting on the air with Egberto and having a conversation. If we don't get some pledges rolling in here, maybe we need to have somebody just call and do option 2 first, and we'll talk them into what's the reason that you're not willing to do a little bit for the radio station? Where else would you be able to call to a radio station and actually get on the air? That's a pretty rare thing. I know there's sports talk radio and a lot of political AM radio talk shows and things like that, but those are highly screened. And they're staged in a certain sense, and so that's a very different kind of an animal. And it's also built around how we're going to manipulate you into driving this truck, drinking this beer, sleeping on this mattress, or other more commercial considerations. Here at KPFT, we just want to expand your mind. We think you're smart enough. No, we know that you're smart enough to make your own decisions and sift the wheat from the chaff. We're providing you a little bit of wheat, sift sifting through it with you, whether it's the music you get to hear on KPFT that no one else will dare play because it's either political or controversial, or it's just not commercial enough because it doesn't sell enough things, or whether it's thoughts and ideas and news and information and art and culture that's maybe below mainstream radar.
Hey, Doyen, let's go ahead and get that caller in real quick. Breach, come on in. Breach, how are you doing today?
Hi.
Talk to me.
Egberto?
Yes, it's Egberto.
It's Breach MCP.
Hey, Breach, how are you doing, my dear friend? Talk to me.
I'm good. I wanted to know if you'd explain, because I get very confused. And I'm sorry, I have to turn this down.
Turn it down so that we can, Go ahead.
Yeah. I was having a talk with my brother, and he was saying Medicare Advantage is just a private company like anybody else.
Yes, he's correct.
And I said, yes, that's correct, but it's not good. And for some reason, I couldn't think of an answer.
Let me give you the answer to that, okay? Medicare Advantage is just like having your regular standard insurance, private insurance right now, whether crappy as it is or good as it is, okay? If you want something good, you pay for it. The difference here is Medicaid Advantage is paid for by the government at a premium. In other words, Medicare Advantage costs the government more than standard Medicare, and the companies that run the private companies that run Medicare Advantage ensures that the government will not provide dental, ears, and eyes within the cost of Medicare, the standard Medicare as it is. Now, here's an important factor here. There's some very, very important factors people have to understand. When you buy Medicare, you also need to purchase, or it is suggested that you also purchase something called Medigap. Medigap is private insurance to cover the part of insurance, the 20% that Medicare does not cover. But when you are originally signing up for Medicare, standard Medicare, those prices for the Medigap is controlled, and you cannot be placed into the market as far as whether you're sick before or not. If you sign up, if you decide to follow what you're watching on TV right now, and you sign up for standard Medicare Advantage, if you find out that you don't like the doctors for the plans that you have or for all these Medicare Advantage plans, and you decide that you want to go back to standard Medicare because standard Medicare allows you to go to any doctor. That's the difference between the private sector and the government sector in Medicare Advantage. In Medicare, the private sector running Medicare Advantage, they tell you what medicines you can take. They tell you what doctors you can see. They tell you what hospitals you can go to. Standard Medicare, you can do whatever your doctor says, whatever you want to do. But if you leave Medicare Advantage to come back to Medicare, standard Medicare, at that point, Medicare Advantage, Medigap will say, well, were you sick? And all these other things that if you were sick, you will either not get Medigap or have to pay a very high premium to get Medigap. Likewise, if you're just staying with standard Medicare, you don't get eye coverage for free. You don't get ears, eyes, and teeth for free. Here's a kicker. It may cost you a bit more standard Medicare than what you get from Medicare Advantage. But I always tell people it is important for you to ask the question, who gives you something for nothing? If you're on Medicare Advantage, and I'm not saying it's bad or whatever, it depends on, and you're locked in, remember that that's just what it is. You're locked in until the next year where you choose another plan that maybe is better for you, but you decide you want to go to Jamaica, you decide you want to go to Europe, you have some issues with that as well. Because again, only emergencies are covered. And I mean, so I don't have all the time to go into all the things, but my good friend, Tom Hartman, he wrote the book on healthcare that also includes some of the stuff we spoke about here. That is a must-see for all our great seniors out there that are making that important choice now as to whether to go to the private sector for their health care or stick with a good run medical program that costs 2% in overhead versus over 30% plus theft in the Medicare Advantage field.
So if you go to your secondary, we're talking like Medicare Advantage is a secondary, then if you have somebody else, I don't know, I have NISHIP, and say I switch to, which I never would, but I switch to Medicare Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't certain insurance companies like Humira have Medicare Advantage programs?
Yes, all of them. And that's the
Sure.
thing. They all, yeah, you want to say something?
Well, yeah, because I've had to deal with this because I turned 65 recently.
Right.
And so I've been a couple of years jumping into how this all works. And so I went with regular Medicare and I got a little additional policy. So my Part D
Right.
is I've got
That's
a
the
little
drugs.
extra for prescription drugs.
Right.
And then I've got the Medigap,
Right.
which is another additional one that
Right.
I pay for both of those.
Right.
And, you know, it's over 150.
Okay.
Well, it's over $150 a month that I maybe wouldn't have to pay if I did a Medicare Advantage plan that replaced all of those. But as Egberto was saying, the Medicare Advantage has all these restrictions. One, the big one for me, my doctor that saved my life 20 years ago, he's not part of a Medicare Advantage plan. He says, we take regular Medicare and that's it, you know. So if you switch to an Advantage plan, you're going to have to find a new doctor. It's like, well, geez, that's sort of, I don't like that limitation among many other limitations.
There's so many limitations.
So do you have to join, is Medigap part of Medicare, or do you have to join it?
It's when you get Medicare, you have a window of time where you get a supplemental benefit insurance plan, and it's mandated through the government if you do it during the window that you have, that it doesn't have any of those testing requirements built into it. If you left and did an Advantage and came back, then you'd have to go through basically qualifying examinations and things like that. You would find that maybe you're being restricted out. Maybe a pre-existing condition would raise your supplemental rate more high than you'd be willing to pay. And it would leave you in a bit of a lurch.
So I had regular medical insurance, and when I went out in disability, I got Medicare, and my regular insurance automatically became my secondary.
Right.
So I guess I was not in Medigap.
No, that's not that is because you came into the Medicare via disability, which is a different a different story. Different story. But here's the deal. When you are going to be on Medicare only, because I think eventually you would be that is what's going to be covering you. I can't give advice officially, but we've just given you all the caveats that there are if you decide to go with Medicare Advantage versus. But hold 1 second. I want to ask our listeners one more time, folks. 713-526-5738. I want to give a big thank you to Jeanette. Very big thank you. Please, folks, we need some more calls. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Or go to kpft.org to support this station. And by the way, by having Bridge MCP call us here, think about that. How many people have learned about Medicare because there's a KPFT that's willing to tell the truth, because none of those companies that are doing Medicare Advantage are here to advertise on KPFT. Because why, Dwayne? We are what kind of station again?
We are the People's Radio station.
We are the People's Radio.
Hey, and you know, here's a tip. I would maybe share this with you as well. There's an organization called Healthcare for All Texas.
Yes.
I've always called them HCFAT. HCFAT. Healthcare for All Texas.
That sounds like Dwayne, man.
So look up HCFAT. Google them, and that will maybe take you down a couple of information avenues that provides a lot of great help.
In fact, some of our donors right here at Bridge MCP are some of the are on the board of not the board, but you know they really organize with that company. So it's a good one to look at. But so tell your brother and tell your brother, you know, if he wants to have a conversation here on KPFT or anything, we love the conversation, because we're not about fighting about stuff. We're about talking about stuff, as you well know.
Well, he had somebody come to the house and he just switched over because that's the window.
Right.
So he just switched over to Humira or something. But I wanted to give him more information, but I forgot about Tom Hartman.
Yes,
I was looking up some of your stories, and I was like, where did he talk about this?
Yeah. Well, in fact, Bridge, I interviewed Tom Hartman twice on this subject, actually.
I know, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk about it. But look, my dear, beautiful lady, thank you so kindly for giving giving us a call.
Thank you.
And see you at 3.
Shout out to Ashley.
All right. Anyway.
All right.
Hey, thank you for
See you
calling
later.
in. 713-526-573. You see, Dwayne, this is what community radio is really about. Brige is from our internet program, and she's now a family member of KPFT. She's actually joined as well.
She's part of the PDR posse?
She's part of the PDR posse.
Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely so. Anyway, Dwayne, you were saying, I didn't realize, I thought we were the same age. You mean you got some years on me, brother?
I think I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm a 54 model. I'll just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got you, man. I got you. Anyway, folks, call 713-526-573. We still have about 14. Actually, because we have another show coming in after this that we got to skate a little bit early, please call right now, 713-526-5738.
Yeah, because the folks from Children at Risk are doing the Growing Up in America show from 1 to 2. And I tell you what, Bob Sanborn and his crew, that's like a little army that invade the KPFT building here momentito. And they will be elbowing you out of the way like about 5 minutes till. So I'd say we've got 10 minutes, maybe 11. To get a couple of phone calls and to complete this conversation for the special Wednesday edition of Politics Done Right here on the People's Radio. 713-526-5738, 713-526 KPFT.
Jeanette, thank you so kindly. I tell you what, let me use about 3 minutes here to talk about Pennsylvania. Okay. Here yesterday we had a debate between Fetterman and Dr. Oz. Okay, and if you watch Fetterman was struggling to speak because Fetterman had a stroke, and when he had the stroke, we were all concerned. The one thing I noticed is that there was no cognition issues with Fetterman. And you watched the stroke, and you actually did a TikTok about the stroke because you're a sufferer of 2 strokes. Go ahead.
Yes, I felt very strongly the criticism he was receiving because my cognition was put into question if I was able to handle the rigor and the responsibility of being a medical student. Right. And which is rightfully so. It's a different situation, but it's the same kind of setup. And what could be said is also that his cognition didn't seem to be impaired. His delivery might have been, which happens, but his cognition wasn't impaired. And so what saddened me is that they were saying essentially that his disability would make him unfit for office. And people threw out many examples. FDR was paralyzed. Someone even brought in Moses, had a speech impediment. There's many different quote unquote leaders of this country who have disabilities, and saying that someone is not capable of doing a job because of that disability is a prejudice. It's against them.
It's interesting because after watching you on your first stroke, your first stroke was mild in the effort, but the second stroke was massive, and the swelling in the brain and all of that really had you were. And I want to be nice about this, but you understand your dad misses some things. You were like out of your mind, and I was concerned and speaking to the doctors or whatever, and they assured me that when your swelling was down, these things would have changed. Okay, and they did. So we actually could present an empathy for Brother Fetterman because Fetterman he didn't go through something that I hadn't seen proper. I think, folks, though, it's deeper than just Ashley having had 2 strokes or Fetterman having a stroke. It's more of as far as a society. How do we deal with people? How do we instruct people? What's the requirements of people? Yesterday, I saw an unempathetic person debating Mr. Fetterman, who should have known better. I have the right to not know whether my daughter was going to come back, her mind come back. Would she remember everything she learned in medical school? I have that right because I don't know. I am not a doctor. But Dr. Oz is a doctor.
He's a medical doctor.
He's a medical doctor, and he understood what that meant. What was your take on that?
Well, I didn't see it, but I was checking some of the buildup to it, and I've been watching Pennsylvania, as many of you have. But Oz made a public statement before the debate that he's sympathetic to the medical issue and knows it well, and is very sympathetic towards Mr. Fetterman. And that he was willing. I'll paraphrase. He said something like, "I'm willing to make any compensatory adjustments to allow him to be more participative in this debate, like having the little monitors, having closed captioning, being slower in his response."
That's condescending.
But exactly, it was a very condescending attitude I saw coming from Oz, and I appreciate what you shared, Ashley, because you have lived it. We watched your dad live it through you, and saw just the trauma that he was dealing with on your behalf, running off and being just worried, unceasingly. And we're just so happy that you are so participative and so here with us now. It's a great joy to have you in the house here at your radio station.
Absolutely.
with your dad.
Absolutely.
Yes, but speaking of Dr. Oz, I just saw one other thing about him. Mind you, he's not my favorite person, but he stated during the debate that, abortion, on his stance on abortion, that it should be between a woman, her doctor, and the local political leaders. And I find that very bizarre. A local political leader,
What does
they have
yeah.
nothing to do with it. They weren't in the bedroom. They weren't in the hospital room. They weren't in the birthing room. It has nothing to do with them. And it's very draconian, in my opinion. And it's very controlling.
Yes, it is.
It gives a big brother vibe to me, and that was very disappointing, especially coming from somebody who went through medical training and understands that abortion is not choosing to kill a child or a fetus. There are a lot of different situations that it will come, that abortion comes up in. You have the miscarriages, you have ectopic pregnancies, you have, high risk twin pregnancies that will definitely kill the mother. We have a lot of those things, and that isn't being taken into consideration
at all. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Folks, we could use your support right now. Please hit the number 1 as you call, 713-526-KPFT. One more time, 713-526-5738. Or you can go to kpft.org and select any gift that you want, or none if you don't want, just let's say you want to support our station. Because again, as you can see here, you get good conversation, you get good data, you get good folks coming out here to really do what we do at community radio. Make sure that you stay informed. I want to give a big thank you to David. David, thank you so kindly for your support here at KPFT. You want to, somebody that gives the thank yous a lot better than I can is my brother here, Dwayne.
Well, I thought you were talking about Stuart.
Well, Stuart, I love Stuart, but Stuart is there calculating. But
I love you too, man.
I love you, brother.
Well, thank you, David. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you pledged at, and I don't know what gift you may or may not have chosen to magnify your participation in KPFT. But I do appreciate the fact that you have joined the family, that you have made a contribution to the cause of conscious communication, because together that's what community does. That's what we do here at KPFT, have done, will continue to do, thanks to your support. 713-526-5738. 713-526-KPFT. Let us know you're there, that you care, that you got something to spare, that you're willing to share, that you're going to keep this on the air. It's only fair. Do what you can. 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT. Visa, Discover, American Express, MasterCard, cash, check, money order, electronic funds, transfer, credit, debit, you name it. You make the call. We'll do it all from there. 713-526-5738.
And That was our rapper, the one and only
He's
Dwayne
dropping-
Bradley.
He's over here dropping bars
I
about
tell you.
fundraising.
All right. Hey, guys, let me come real quickly. The offers. I have 3 books that I wrote. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. In that book, you learn everything about the economy, how the economy have screwed some folks, how the economy has been abused by the mighty few, how patents work, all that good stuff in a very easy to understand manner. Second book, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Again, how to talk to your It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. It teaches you how to talk to other people that don't necessarily share your values, but that you can, the things that you learn in book 1, you can actually talk to them about it. And last book is, after I've created a rapport with these people, with other folks, you can go ahead and say, and how do we make America a better place? How do we make America utopia? So the third book, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. Folks, any one of those books stand alone and can be gotten for a contribution to KPFT of $120. Any 2 of those books can be gotten by a contribution of $200 to KPFT, and the 3 of those books can be gotten for a contribution of $250 to KPFT. Please go ahead and whatever you choose, support us however you can. 713-526-5738. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. 713-526-5738. Again, 1 book, $120 contribution, 2 books, $200 contribution, 3 books, $250 contribution. Please support us, show us. I can't rhyme the way our rapper in that room rhymed, but I'm going to let him kind of take on a little bit more pitching before we get out of here.
Okay, well, we are definitely wrapping it up. The folks from Children at Risk are in the house. They're plotting their takeover of the Air Studio right now, Egberto.
Yes.
So you and Ashley better start packing up that gear.
Yes.
713-526-5738 is the phone number, 526-KPFT. Listener-sponsored, commercial-free, independent, community-based, people-powered public radio. It exists because of people just like you, making a free will contribution. We can't compel you to put a dime or a quarter into the dashboard or into the top of the radio in order to hear what's going on at KPFT. But I'm willing to bet that if you had to drop a dime in the top of the radio each day just to find out what was on, you might often do that, maybe 5 times a week. Well, hey, you do 50 cents a week, that's $2 a month. You do that each month for a year, you're up to $25. That makes you a member of KPFT. So even if you can only do 10 cents a day, that more than makes you a member of the radio station. So do that little bit. And if you could do more than that, maybe $10 a month instead of 10 cents a day, whatever the number is, I don't know what's right for you. You know, my $100 might be your $1,000, might be your $10. We all exist at different level of means in this, economic world that we are all living through. So whatever it is that you have that you can spare, that you're willing to share, show that you care. 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT.
Please, folks, we really need your contributions right now. We're at the close of the show and we haven't yet made it. 713-526-KPFT, 713-526-5738. We cannot do this without you. And folks, remember this. This is your station. Remember this. You can call in, talk to us. You can tell us what you want us to talk about. You can tell us all these things. What kind of information do you need? And we do provide all of this for you as well. 713-526-5738. Or go to kpft.org. Folks, we are in here supporting you. We are in here making sure that you're informed. Folks, we are in here doing a duty. You want to say one closing word there, Dwayne?
Well, I wanted to thank you and your daughter for coming down here and doing this because you didn't have to. You chose to. This is a volunteer opportunity that you've taken advantage of. You're leveraging some of your gifts and sharing them with the larger community through this common gift we have, which is the radio station. 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT. Support that which supports you, which is this radio station, your your radio station, the community's radio station. 713-526-5738, 526 KPFT. Egberto, thanks.
Thank you so
Ashley,
kindly for
thank
coming.
you.
Thank you for helping out here. That was great having you here, Dwayne. And thank you to Teneshia Hudspeth, who's our county clerk that came out and spent some time with us to teach us what community radio is, or what county is actually all about. Anyway, folks, let everybody know KPFT is back live on air, folks. We are back live. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics or Not. You know how in this baby, I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.